Hello, and welcome to another episode of Retro Reinstall. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite games, Star Wars Dark Forces. Dark Forces was released in 1995 for MS-DOS, Macintosh, and then later in 1996 for the PlayStation. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the story of the game, but just know that the protagonist's name is Kyle Katarn, a mercenary working on the behalf of the Rebel Alliance, who discovers the Galactic Empire's secret Dark Trooper project. Now, even though they do look very similar, they are using completely different engines. But a lot of times, Dark Forces is usually called a Doom clone. The game's success actually launched the Star Wars Jedi Knight series. One of my favorite ones in the series is Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, the one that was released in 1997. Okay, now for the fun part. Where can you get this game? Well, after doing a little search on eBay, it looks like you could probably pick up a decent copy for the PC or the Mac for around $5 to $20, depending on if you want the big box, all the bits and pieces, or if you just want the disc. It was released on a CD version, so it makes it a little easier to get a hold of. If you're looking for a digital copy, you can either pick it up off of Good Old Games or on Steam. As always, links will be down in the description below. Well, as you can see here, I purchased the game through Steam. One of the reasons why I like the Steam version is because it does have the cloud backup saves. So, as long as I'm online, I can always retrieve my saves. Let's say if I play on my Steam Deck or from another PC, it'll always be there, which is nice. So, in order to start the game, just install and press play. Goes into full screen. And then I think the game's working. Ah, there it is. Oh, look, our friend Dosbox is back. Oh, wow, the game is very loud. Well, it's in this really tiny screen, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to fix that. I mean, we are using Dosbox, so it should be pretty easy. As you can see, here's my save. It's still here. So we're all good to go. If you want to play like this, all you have to do, load up a map. And we're in.
There he is, stop him!
Please forgive me. There we go. But I'm pretty sure we can make this better. Let's do that. Now let's fix that flicker that we got when trying to start the game. The easiest way to do that is to actually follow a pretty simple guide that's here in the community pages. This one here has a really good, simple way of fixing the problem. As you can see, I was looking at it earlier. But what this will do is it'll give you OpenGL so that you can have the Steam overlay, as well as gives you a sharper rendering for the game. So the game title and the graphics look a little more crisp. They have it set to 1600 by 1200 for their desktop resolution, but really we can just use any desktop resolution that we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually modify the config file for Dosbox. Now, the easiest way to get there is to actually go to our library where we had the game, right click on the game in our library, go to Manage, Browse Local Files, and see, we are now at this little config file that we need to look for. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to edit this. Now I'm going to edit mine in Notepad++, but you could choose any text editor. As you can see, by default, it is set to full screen of true, but there's no resolution set, which I think is why it was originally canceling it out. So, and we have the CPU cycle set to 20,000. What we're going to do is we're actually going to use this guide. We're going to do a little copy and paste. So we're just going to take all of this information and I'll walk you through what each part does and why we're doing it. Okay, so let's start from the top. So this SDL, this is for the data layer for the visual side of things, for what your screen resolution is going to be. Here, they're setting it to true. They're going to give you a screen resolution of 1600 by 1200, and they're giving you the output of OpenGL, and this is the NB version. Now, we also set the renderer, and we're going to set it so that it's not set to a scalar, but instead it's keeping the aspect ratio. And what this means is that the game was originally made during a time where 4:3 is the aspect ratio. So for example, this is 1600 by 1200. There's also 1024 by 768. I'll leave a link in the description below for the common 4:3 screen resolutions that actually are still being used nowadays, believe it or not. We do it for movies. Just don't know it. So anyway, we're actually not going to use this 1600 by 1200 because I'm going to use this in windowed mode. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So I mentioned the renderer. Now we're going to talk about CPU. Here we have it set to auto. This is typically fine for Dark Forces. We don't usually need to change any of this, but this is how fast your CPU is actually running. This is typically used for a lot of older titles where they need to have the CPU cycles actually quite low, because if they're too high, they mean the games runs super fast. Now, in my opinion, the most important part about this is actually this mixer and this Sound Blaster part. What this does is actually tells Dosbox which version of Sound Blaster it should use. As you can see here, it's using the 16-bit version of Sound Blaster. And this makes the sound very crisp, as well as allows the music to play properly into the game. So this is how you would typically do it. Simple copy paste, and you can get on with it. Personally, I don't actually like playing it in full screen mode, at least not with these settings. If you want, you can actually change this to desktop, and it will run at your native desktop resolution. So for me, that would be 1920 by 1080, so a 1080p monitor. But once again, I don't want to play it in full screen mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to false. And instead, we're going to type window resolution. And we're going to use 1152 by 864. This is what's called the 1024 by 768 Big Brother. And I like this because it's a nice mix of sharp, but not too overly dramatic. You'll see a little bit later. Let's give this a save. Let's boot up our game. So we'll go back to our library. We'll hit play. You can scroll up if you want. You can hit play on our game. And there we go. So now it's set into a better resolution. There we go. Nice. Let's go ahead and jump into a game so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay. So now you can see that the game actually did load much smoother.
There he is. Stop
And
him.
moving around, pretty intuitive.
You
Very
can't stop where you
loud in
are.
my ears right now. But there you go. Now you're playing it in a better. There, you can hear the music playing, as you can hear. And it looks really good. But guess what? You can do this one better. So the next option that we could do is called the Dark Forces Launcher. And this was created by the lovely group at df-21.net. I'll explain later about these guys, but they are diehard Dark Forces fans and have made it a very simple way to not only play the game with the modifications for Dosbox, but also allow you to play a lot of the extra mods and extra missions that people have created in their wonderful community. So all you have to do is download the Dark Forces launcher. I'll leave a link in the description below, but you can also pick it up from this Steam guide as well. All you have to do is once you download it, extract it into any folder that you have. I put it here. Then you just double click the startlauncher.bat file and away we go. Now, typically most people will choose number 1, but I'm going to do number 2 so that we can actually see a lot of the options. So here it's going to run through these. Let's go through them. Yes, we want modern mouse look. Okay. Oh, see, it notices that I have the Steam version. So I'm going to click on the Steam version. And let's see here. We want to set crosshair, mouse look, and keybind controls. I think I'm going to go ahead and let them make their own. Okay, we're going to go to the next step. Ooh, the community patch? Yeah, that sounds fun. And see here, it's downloading those patches directly from the game, or from the df-21 website. So then you don't actually have to go through them and do yourself. Ooh, are you a streamer? Would you like to change the window size for streaming in OBS? Of course. Yes, I would. I think I'm going to do a typical 4:3 aspect ratio, kind of like what we did before. I'm going to use number 11. Ooh, important. Missing dark.exe. Please choose an option below. Should I play Dark Forces, custom Dark Forces missions? There you go. Let's just jump directly into Dark Forces. I'll come back and do the... Uh-oh. Go to H, C, and then pick U to update your Dosbox settings. Settings reset. Return to main menu. Now let's try booting up Dark Forces again. We're in full screen mode. Okay. All right, mouse is looking good. Try booting it up. All right.
There he is.
Nice. Ooh, this is running very smooth.
Stop it.
All right. Ooh, mouse look is feeling nice and smooth with the crosshair. All right. Let's try booting up one of the other missions. Open this back up. Let's try one of the other missions. Ooh, Imperial Academy, Assassination on Nar Shaddaa, Boba Fett, Episode 1. That sounds like fun. Yeah, let's try number 2. hear the game. Doesn't sound like it booted up properly. Oh, there it goes. Nar Shaddaa. All right. That's cool. Oh, we'd have to figure out why it's not playing it in the proper screen resolution. But this is going really well. And it was as simple as just pressing the button and selecting the mission that I want. So as you can see, the launcher is very, very easy to use. And I made a mistake here and I still did something really fun. Now, if you don't want to download a random PowerShell script off of the Steam community page, I understand. And that's where the Force engine comes into play. Here, you can get a modern, updated version of the Jedi engine that has a lot of new features for like anti-aliasing and just better graphics. Runs the game very smoothly, but with a little changes that some people might not feel to be the same as the original game. You'll see in just a moment. But for now, all you have to do is download the zip file. Current version that I'm seeing is 0.91, and I've already gone ahead and downloaded it and extracted it into its own folder. Here, all you have to do is just run the exe. Now, as I said before, it's very basic right now, but it's pretty simple to set up. All you have to do is go to your settings and make sure that your Dark Forces link here is actually pointed to your folder. As you can see, I've already set up both my Outlaws and my Dark Forces folder. Then you just need to make sure that you set your current game to Dark Forces if you want to play Dark Forces. You can also make some small minor tweaks to, say, your inputs. So if you want to change it to use like a controller options, or enable, say, different mouse look options. Here you can actually turn off different mouse looks. And you can set all of your key bindings for all of your other things like the map, running around, what option or what weapons you want to use. Same thing with like night vision, PDA, things. And these are by default set to a more modern standard using the WASD keys instead of the original arrow keys. Same thing with mouse. And if you want, you can change some settings. Set it to full screen. I like keeping mine to Windows, but if you do set the full screen, you can actually change the screen settings to whatever. Here you can also edit the resolution of the screen. So if you want to play in, say, like a 4K resolution, that's all good and dandy. Like I was saying before, you can set it to use different types of rendering stuff. So we're actually using right here an async frame buffer. That is really hard to say, as well as a GPU color conversion, which allows it to give a smoother textures, which you will see in just a moment. For now, let's just go ahead and run the game so you can see what I'm talking about. Hit return, press start. Already you can see that the loading screen looks a little smoother. Go ahead, skip ahead to the main menu here. As you can see, it's still using my saves from Steam. So there we go. Go ahead and start out the main menu. Bam, there we go. Already put in. So you'll probably have to pull up a side-by-side comparison, but as you can see, the game is slightly smoother along these textures. So the game has a weird feeling to it if you're used to the originals. But I keep getting shot when I want to try and explain. But as you can see here, the colors pop really well, and you can see that these textures look really nice with the new anti-aliasing and the CPU color setup. Trying to talk to my YouTube audience, guys, please. But it's really, really easy to see like the different models and and how the textures look really, really smooth and crisp on the new Force engine. Yeah. All right. Now you've seen multiple ways to actually open and play an awesome Star Wars retro game. How did you do it? Did you just press play as soon as you bought the game on Steam or Good Old Games? Or did you meticulously check each individual Dosbox config so that you can get that perfect frame? Or did you use the DF21 launcher? A really awesome way to get that custom feel with those new missions and mods? Or did you try the Force engine? A really simple way to get started that looks really pretty and really easy to set up? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, whatever way you chose, I hope this brought in some new perspective on a really amazing game created in 1995 by LucasArts. I want to give a quick shout out to df-21.net. Their community is so nice and very welcoming. Check out their website and Discord links in the description below. Stay tuned for the next episode of Retro Reinstall, where we will look at Outlaws, a spaghetti western game created on the same engine as Dark Forces by LucasArts. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you can get notified. Once again, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.